Welcome to the DevelopmentAid online webinar session. Our host today is Elizabeth, and we are excited to have you join us. We strongly encourage active participation in our discussions, and all participants who stay until the end of the event will receive a certificate of attendance via email 24 hours after the webinar. To ensure that everyone can participate, all cameras and microphones are automatically muted. You can submit your questions or comments via the questions section on the screen, or participate in the polls during the event to let us know your opinion. We look forward to an engaging and insightful discussion. Enjoy.
Hello everyone, I'm Elizabeth. Thank you for joining us today for this insightful session on including maximum budgets in tenders, pros and cons. Today we are diving into a crucial aspect of project proposals within the development and humanitarian sectors, the inclusion of maximum budgets in tender submissions. This strategic approach not only sets clear financial boundaries, but also enhances competitiveness and transparency in procurement processes. While setting a maximum budget defines project scopes and enhances fiscal discipline, it also brings challenges like potential constraints on innovation and project flexibility. We are glad that you joined DevelopmentAid today to delve into these dynamics with industry experts from Trust Consultancy and Development. Our esteemed speakers today bring a wealth of experience and expertise. We have with us Yusuf Al-Mustafa, the CEO and co-founder of the Trust Consultancy and Development. He brings over 2 decades of experience in humanitarian and development sectors, overseeing numerous projects in monitoring and evaluation, and training professionals across the MENA region and beyond. We also have with us Dirce Panza, a seasoned project officer at Trust that specializes in proposal writing and third-party monitoring, leveraging her consultancy experience and academic background in economics and project management. And we also welcome Lina Onisi, geostrategic analyst at Trust. She offers insights from her expertise in the MENA region and holds a master's degree in Middle Eastern Studies, focusing on proposal writing and project implementation. Welcome the Trust Consultancy and Development experts. Welcome Yusuf, Dirce, Lina. I'm very glad to host you today. Before we proceed, please tell us a bit about yourself, your company.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Elizabeth. Before we proceed into introducing ourselves, I will quickly go through the agenda for today. We will start off by telling you who we are, what we do, and then we'll move into the topic of today by discussing the advantages and disadvantages of including a maximum budget in the tender. Then we'll provide some examples as per our experience and also provide you with some suggestions and tips. And lastly, we'll have the Q&A session. So we will encourage you to ask your questions. If something comes in, just feel free to reach out in the chat box. So Trust Consultancy and Development is a third-party monitoring company that is registered in Turkey. And we have satellite office in Pakistan and also other offices in Iraq as well as Yemen. However, we do have operations in the most part of the MENA region, as you can see in the map, and also in some parts of South Asia. Our main vision is to becoming a leading consultancy firm in third-party monitoring, evaluation, and capacity building. We have so far conducted over 180 projects since our establishment in 2016. And most of these projects have been in third-party monitoring, third-party evaluations, data collection, capacity development, and research.
So before delving into the advantages and disadvantages of disclosing a budget within a tender, let's just focus together on this given example. So what would be some challenges for a capacity development tender, either if you are the commissioner or the supplier? Of course, let's start with the number of trainers. How many How many trainers do we need to train either participants? The number of days, would it be 1 day of training, 2 days, more, 1 week, 1 month? This is very challenging if we don't know. The level of venue, are we having this training in a hotel or in a school or in a given space? This has to be determined like before coming up with a precise budget, of course. Now, the number of international or local trainers, which have a huge impact on the budget. Logistically, the travel, the accommodation, transportation, everything related, to the trainers per diem, and so this has an impact on the budget. And of course, any post-assignment activities, it could be a follow-up in form of an evaluation after the training, could be in person, could be remote. What is the modality? So these are some challenges, and I think you can all recall. Now, if we want to narrow this scope a bit and be more specific, would it be enough to say, I want to stay in a 5-star hotel for a training, for instance? And I think we can all recall our own vacations as well. So for this very same example, the city plays a big role in managing and coming up with a budget. Would this 5-star hotel be in New York City, in Paris, in Cairo, in Islamabad? I mean, big questioning here. So the location itself within a given city, this also plays a role when coming up with a budget. The facilities, what type of services? Is there any security measures? The traffic, the period of this training, the starting and the end date of this training, and so many other features. Of course, we all agree that all of the above has a huge impact on the overall pricing. Now, let's jump together to the other slide. So we have the very same challenges when developing budget for external evaluation, or let's say third-party monitoring assignment, when we don't have any disclosed budget. Let's start, of course, with the most obvious, the methodology. What is the scope of this methodology? How many tools are we going to offer as a consultancy? And how many tools do we require as the NGO or the donor? So the scope of the methodology itself. Now, the sampling size within this same methodology. What is the sampling for quantitative? What is the sampling for qualitative? Logistically speaking, this has a huge impact as well in terms of pricing. Are our field enumerators going to go like all over one given country, or do we have one sample representative of the location? This impacts overall our budget, of course. Now, are we considering going for international or local consultant? Each one of them has its own, daily rate, and of course, the level of experience, the level of effort for each consultant and each expert. The overall number of consultants, of course. I mean, the list can be very exhaustive. Here we came up with few examples just so you can see like the impact of not having any disclosed budget. The modalities. Are we going to go for a field data collection mainly in person, or can we go for some remote activities? This also can impact our logistics, budget, and also, our type of activities. What is the level required in terms of participatory approach? Is it huge? Is it not that much? This also can inform us when coming up with a budget. And many other aspects such as here, quality assurance, risk management, etc. So please keep in mind that there are so many other challenges we could have listed. And now we are going to open 2 polls, and we want to, please let us know, what do you think? Either from the commissioner side, you can imagine, or maybe you already are an NGO or a donor, what do you think is the best practice, either to disclose or not to disclose a budget we didn't tender? What is your feeling when it comes to this point? Do you think it's better to disclose? Yes, no, or maybe you don't have any insight to share for now, but most probably you will have at the end of this presentation. Please let us know. Take a few minutes to think about it. That would be our first question for you.
Dear participants, thank you for voting. Lina, would you like me to share the results now, or first we'll conduct the second poll?
I would say let's please conduct the second poll, and then we can compare the results, please.
Okay, sure. I'm going to end this poll in a moment. Dear participants, please take part in second poll as well.
Great. Now the second question. For consultancy's perspective, do you think it is better to disclose the budget in tenders when you are preparing a submission? Yes, no, or maybe no insight for now? Would be very interesting to see those two different perspectives. And thank you.
Thank you everybody for voting. I'm going to share the results right now. Can you see the result? Okay.
Yes, perfectly. Thank you. So, of course, there's no right or wrong answers. It's only how do you feel as like a consultancy or a commissioner? What do you think about this aspect? And here we can see that the majority of people coming from consultancies or either imagining themselves from the consultancy perspective think that yes, it would be better to disclose the budget within the tender. This is very interesting. Can I see, please, Ellie, the result for the commissioner?
Yes,
This has not
one
appeared.
moment. You should be able to
Oh,
see
yes.
them now.
Here as well, very interesting. The majority of people said yes, it would be better to disclose the budget. Okay, no wrong or right answer. We will carry on with the presentation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Lena. Very interesting point of view from our audience. So the majority, they preferred if the budget is disclosed. Now we will mention some pros or advantages and disadvantages when we disclose budgets in tenders. And these are, from our experience as a consultancy, we provide many services, monitoring and evaluation, translation, research, and training or capacity building as well. So this is related to our experience. The first thing we will deal with advantages. Usually, it affects efficiency from the point of view of consultancies and from the point of view of NGOs or donors or commissioners. Transparency and fairness and corruption and localization. We will mention or explain these one by one. If we start with efficiency from the point of view of consultancies, usually as a consultancy, we are in a much better position to make our decisions when the budget is disclosed. Why? Because we can estimate the budget in much better way, what items to include, and we can decide if it is feasible or not from our point of view. There are different consultancies, as you know, different fees, different rates, different level of experience or expertise, different countries where they have different rates as well. So if we know the budget, the maximum budget, we will decide to go to proceed or not. If the budget is much lower than our rates, simply we will not apply. So we can save our efforts, time, resources, etc. If the budget is reasonable, then we will proceed, or if it is high, then we will proceed. Because when we know the level of the budget, we can decide the structure of our cost. And already there are many items mentioned by Lena before, so we can increase level of efforts or add some items or remove some items. So always we can estimate the scope, and the cost is related to the scope 100%. In addition to making decisions in a better way, we can have some innovative approaches as well, because always we need to manipulate in case the budget is low. For instance, we need to find some ways to be more efficient, to decrease our cost, to get inputs at a cheaper level, and also to work on our processes. Always when budget is related to or cost related to prices we get these inputs related to this consultancy or that, and also the way we deal with these inputs, and we have outputs which is related to processes. Always when we have the budget, we can manipulate and we can have some innovative approaches to meet expectations of those commissioners or NGOs when budgets are low. From the point of view of commissioners, NGOs, donors, usually they will receive less number of proposals. When the budget is disclosed, if it is low, for instance, or if it is high, therefore there will be different expectations. If the budget is low, there are many consultancies that will be excluded because it's not feasible from their point of view, and then they prefer not to waste their time and their efforts. Then the commissioner will enjoy more time to assess the proposals they have. So less number, because those are the proposals that meet their expectations. And then they will have less time and efforts to assess, receive the proposals. If the budget is not disclosed, so many people, many applicants, many consultancies will submit my proposals with really a wide range of discrepancy between their budgets because they don't have idea about it. So they have different scopes as well. The scope will varies across different consultancies. So when we have less number of proposals and then we have less time and efforts to assess received proposals, we will be in a better position to make effective decisions. First, because as we said, differences between different budgets will be close to each other because all of them, they know the maximum budget. So usually they tend to go towards the maximum budget, but this is not necessarily, but at least we have a closer budget to each other compared when it is not disclosed. And then the commissioners will have more time to, or they focus mainly on technical proposals to compare between different applicants. Then when because they will focus on just one variable, which is the technical rather than the financial, because again the financial will be close to each other. When the budget is disclosed, they reduce receiving proposals that are far exceeded budgets. And many proposals we submitted in the past, sometimes the highest budget maybe 3-4 times of the lowest budget, and sometimes even more. Why? Because they didn't know about the budget, and then they had different scopes as well. Some of them very large, some of them very narrow, some of them they have high rates, some of them they have low rates. So when you disclose your budget, you will not receive such types of proposals with very high budgets. So as a result, will be faster and easier decisions for commissioners, and also they will minimize corruption, because always when the budget is not disclosed, maybe there are some people with informal access to the budget, and they pay for that bribery, etc. And this will be reflected in the budget as well when they submit their proposal. So when we have disclosed budget, also we minimize corruption, and then we avoid this extra cost. So this is efficiency from both sides. As you see, both sides will enjoy efficiency. The first one will just save their time, resources, efforts in case it is not feasible, and also commissioners will enjoy also less time, less number of proposals, less time to assess, and much easier decision also to make. So this is from the proficiency point of view. And then also regarding transparency and fairness, when same information available for all, budget or also other information related to the technical proposal. So no formal access to budget we expect, because also they have the maximum budget mentioned there. Some applicants will not have advantages of current or previous relations of the consultancy itself or their staff, for instance, and then they will not enjoy unfair advantages, because in case budget is not disclosed, maybe they have this information. No benefits from previous assignments with same organizations. The Trust Consultancy, for instance, when we have assignments with some clients, and based on, sometimes they monitor and evaluate the same projects every year. For instance, they have third-party monitoring, then they have evaluation. So we have access to to this information. This is legal, we can say, access, because we had assignments with these organizations before, so we can better estimate the budget. So when we disclose the budget, this will be fairer for all other applicants as well, or consultancies. most consultancies have previous NGOs staff and consultants. This is a fact always, because when we submit the proposals, we try to find people with experience with this client or that client, so they are in a better position maybe to as excess staff, for instance, they are in a better position to estimate the budget. So when we disclose the budget, and we make this information available for everyone, we minimize this illegal or informal access to this information. A second very important point, those clients or those organizations, when they disclose budget, usually they enjoy higher level of trust, accountability, and respect from public, donors, communities, beneficiaries, and most importantly, from the suppliers, consultancies, applicants. Why? Because it seems that they are transparent, so they are disclosing the budget. So they will not make this information available for some or few people because they have access, because they have relations, because etc. So always, as a consultancy, whenever they mention this, we consider it as part of the we respect them more than those with no disclosed budget, in fact, and trust will increase because they are putting us on the same page, all applicants with access to the same information. So this will lead to fairer competition between different consultancies. Another very important point, it is easier to justify selection of successful proposals by commissioners, because I know most applicants may be close to each other in terms of financial offer, and now they can justify we selected this because they have this or they have that, etc. in the technical proposal. So it is much easier to justify if the differences between financial offers too large, and then differences in also technical proposals also too much, then how to decide, it is very difficult. And we noticed this in many international organizations. Sometimes they delay decision because they found it really very, very difficult. They find really excellent technical proposal, but they have high budget, and sometimes maybe higher budget than their maximum budget, or maybe not higher than the maximum budget, but at least higher, much higher than many other applicants. So what to do, how to decide, it is very difficult. Localization and consultancies as well, especially when we have low budgets. When we have low budgets and there are an international consultancy, they are interested in this, then they try to be more efficient. But also, even if they would like to be efficient, their rates are still much higher than others, maybe in direct cost, overhead cost, much higher than others. Then they try to find partners. And the trend in the humanitarian and development sector, in fact, lower budgets for consultancies, especially for monitoring and evaluation, capacity development. And the only way is just try to partner with other companies, local companies usually. So here we have partnerships, especially recently. We have a trend to, partnership. International and local consultancies, they partner with each other because local partners much lower rates in addition to the context, knowledge, culture, etc. But rates also, so there is a financial aspect. So they partner with local consultancies, and also they try to include local consultants because usually their rates much lower than international consultants, in addition to much less costs when it comes to accommodation, travel, per diem, etc., etc. And us as Trust Consultancy, almost maybe every month we receive 1 or 2 or 3 sometimes emails from international partners. They asking us to, would you like to partner with us in this country or that country, etc. Investing in local consultants and consultancies, and also this is a trend, and there are many webinars recently about how to improve or develop capacity of local consultancies and local consultants, because as international partners, usually sometimes they have very good experience, international experience in different contexts, different regions, etc. So they try to transfer this knowledge to their local partners, to their local consultants, because when they have local consultants with better experience, etc. So they have the likelihood to win the opportunities or assignments will be higher. So recently we see, as I said, mixed international expertise with local context knowledge, in addition to the culture, the knowledge, etc., the language. Then there's a financial aspect, which is very clear recently, and with many international partners now we have, usually they contact us and telling us we cannot apply for this one, we need local partners. whatever you can do, please let us know. Then we will reduce the level of efforts of international partners. So this is a localization, and you know that localization is a trend these days. Every day we hear about a new study, new report, a new webinar about localization, donors level, international organizations level, UN agencies level, etc. And this is good for localization. This is when we have low budgets, but also when we have high budgets also. So because the competition between international partners, they try to partner with local partners as well. So now, what if maximum budgets not disclosed in these tenders? From the point of view of consultancies, so uncertainty will be high. It will be difficult to define risks, to define also scope. And usually we try to have reserves in the budget just to cover these unseen things, unknown things, etc. in our budget. We need to guess, especially when we have a new clients or new potential clients. We need to guess, we need to search more, etc. Try to get legally or illegally, formally or informally. There are many consultancies, they try to get information because, again, it will affect their decision to apply or not, and if they apply, the way they define scopes. Also, we rely on our past experience as a consultancy in case we have an experience with these clients. We rely on experience and knowledge of our staff, especially ex-staff of these organizations. We try to have informal access, some through links, through corruption, and we noticed that recently. We noticed that in many countries we submitted the proposals. It was very clear evidence there is that there's corruption. So some organizations, consultancies, they knew about the budget, and then we were not in a good position to win, or it wasn't fair at all. Of course, this depends on the consultancies themselves. Some of them, they are corrupt, some of them, they are not corrupt, but this is a market, and we mention here all possible things that we might see when maximum budgets are not disclosed. And then maybe we can ask also when the budget not disclosed and the scope is not that clear also. So we try to ask many questions, because without these answers, we will not be able to define the scope. As already Lena mentioned, there are many possibilities, many choices, many alternatives when it comes to monitoring and evaluation related to the methodology, to sample size, especially qualitative data collection, how many group discussions we need to have, how many key informant interviews we need to have, can we have some extra features or not. Also for quantitative sampling, there are many factors that will affect the sample size, also related to the technical consultants. Shall we include technical consultants, or the budget doesn't allow, for instance? So all these things, remote or in-person activities, for instance. And of course, sometimes we rely on published reports and previous TORs to go there and try to see if we can get any information, any hints about maximum budgets from or actual budget from previous similar assignment. So you see, when the maximum budget is not clear, it is a headache for consultancies, and this is much different. It's different from suppliers, because in suppliers sometimes you can exactly say in your TOR what I need. If it's laptops, I can give you just all characteristics, specifications, so it's clear. But scope in consultancy is very difficult to define. Another example given also by Lena, when we talk about training, there are many things I need to think about before I submit a proposal. So if you give me, if you inform me about the maximum budget, I will be in a much better to provide really good quality proposals usually, and also include what I can do and to meet your expectations. And here, still there are some disadvantages if the disclosed budget, if the budget is disclosed in the tenders. As we said, usually when I know the budget, I in a better position to decide shall I apply or not. As a highly qualified consultancy or consultants, maybe in case the budget is low, I will not apply again, because sometimes the cost of the proposal itself, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes months. It depends on the assignment itself. Then If they disclose the budget, then I will decide, no, I cannot compete because my rate's high. I have also overhead cost high, also or indirect cost. Then in this case, when the budget is disclosed and is low, you will exclude many qualified consultancies. Also, if I am interested, but the budget is low, maybe I decide to apply, but I will compromise quality. I will not put too much effort in the proposal because again, the budget is already low. Then I will not care about the quality of the proposal, and maybe I will compromise many things in the scope as well just to meet your expectations. Because in case I apply the way I apply usually, the cost will be much higher than the maximum budget. Unjustified increase of offers. If the maximum budget is really high, then I will try to go towards that budget, and this means that there's unjustified increase of the offers without this maximum budget. Usually, if I submit a proposal, usually maybe my offer will be less. But now, as they included this high budget, then I will try to go towards the highest level. Now, what if the maximum budget is too low or too high? Because we have these two possibilities, and sometimes it's realistic, very realistic. In some cases, low, sometimes high. Generally speaking, and recently, frankly speaking, it's too low, lower than what we used to have many years ago in our areas of experience or core business, third-party monitoring and evaluation and training. So when it is too low, competition between local applicants, as I said, so highly qualified one will be disclosed, but we will have more realistic technical proposals or good enough. This is what we can meet given that your budget is low. If it is too high, and if it's too high, maybe for instance, if the budget is 50,000, for instance, and usually I apply, my budget will be 25 or 30,000 only, so the difference 20,000. Then here I will try to be innovative in the way I work. I will try to encourage. I will try to add new extra features to this one. Maybe as a third-party monitoring, for instance, I will provide them with some a training for free as part of this one, maybe follow-up activities, maybe more face-to-face or in-person activities rather than remote activities. Maybe I have more technical consultants, maybe international, etc. So here, usually, if it is too high, we have good number of applicants. In case they meet eligibility criteria, but if it is too high, also sometimes they have very difficult criteria to meet or eligibility criteria, and they will have limited competition as well. Highly qualified consultancy or consultants will apply. Usually, we expect high quality proposals. But however, even if it is too high, not necessarily that all applicants, all proposals will tend to go towards the highest budget. And here it is recommended maybe still to give 5 to 10% to as way to financial offer, just to encourage people to apply under or below the maximum budget. Here, some examples from our experience. An international NGO approached us, contacted us, shared the TOR with us, and when we estimated the budget at around $50,000 to meet their expectations. But before we started, we asked them, is it possible to share with us the maximum budget? They hesitated first, and after that they said 20,000. So imagine in case we proceeded without asking this question, for instance, and without, if they don't provide us with this number or figure. So we will waste our time, resources, etc., and it will go to another maybe consultancy, or maybe all consultancies will submit with high rate, for instance, or high budget, and then after that they will take more time to re-advertise, negotiation, etc. But when we informed us about the budget, we negotiated with them. We could remove quantitative data collection. We relied only on qualitative data collection. We reduced number of locations, etc. So there are many things we discussed with them. We provided them with what they needed because it was needs assessment and they wanted to submit a proposal, grant a proposal. So we provided them what they needed, and it was good enough, we can say. But we saved our time. We saved their time. We provided them what they needed, and it was good enough, as I said. Another example from Iraq, an And this happened many times, in fact, in many assignments or proposals we submitted, we were shortlisted, and then after that, they said the financial offer higher than our maximum budget. Then we asked them about their maximum budget. They preferred not to say, and they asked us to reduce our offers. But we asked more, question. We need to know this information to see if it is feasible or not, to see if it's feasible to reduce our budget and we keep the scope itself as it is, or we need to reduce or narrow down the scope as well. So in case they give us this information, then we can reduce our budget based on this. In case they don't provide us with this information, sometimes we say, sorry, we cannot reduce our budget. And then maybe we take it sometimes you don't take it. But we don't take the risk that we reduce our budget, which is already low, and to meet what they asked us without more information. Of course, always we ask them to provide this information, not to Trust Consultancy, but also to all other applicants, to be fair. And then after that, these consultancies or applicants, they can decide based on their capacity, rates, etc. So here we got it was best technical proposal, and then just $200 more than the successful proposal. But the successful proposal was not as good as our technical proposal, but they got it. Another example from Turkey, in fact, was with an international NGO, and they disclosed their budget, 100,000. And we submitted a proposal at 70,000. So as you see, 30,000 less than the maximum budget. And we won this one. Our technical proposal was good. We didn't go towards the highest, to the maximum budget, because we think, yeah, we can do it, and still we can make some profit, and we can be more competitive. So with good technical proposal, we could get this one. So this maybe 100,000, maybe this is good for international companies, because they cannot compete with local consultancy based in Turkey or based in Syria, for instance. So we could get it at a much lower budget, meaning that even if you disclose the budget, this doesn't mean that everyone will go towards the highest budget. The last example is from Iraq with one of the UN agencies. It was a third-party monitoring assignments, 1 year, 12 reports. Every month we need to collect data, to write a report, to share it with them. And we tried to be very competitive as possible, because we were very interested in this assignment. Then our budget was less than 100,000. Again, 12 months, every month, data collection, logistics, transportation, data collection, analysis, report writing, etc. We thought it was very competitive. Then they told us the successful one budget, third of your budget, meaning that 30,000 or 35,000. It is not realistic at all. The only thing we can guess that there's corruption there. So they had access to the budget, the maximum budget there. Maybe they played on the scope itself. They had very narrow scope. Otherwise, they would not be able to win this one. So these are examples of things, happened with Trust Consultancy, as I said. One, when we submitted a competitive proposal, but it wasn't successful, and the only interpretation that corruption is there, or illegal access, bribery, or relations, etc. So they narrowed down the scope. They have another one where they disclosed the budget before we started proposal writing. We were happy both sides, so we delivered what they asked for, and we met their expectations good enough. So no resources lost by both sides. And two other examples, as you see here, when the budget is disclosed, not necessarily we go towards the maximum budget. So these are some examples from our work in trust consultancies. So based on our experience, always it will be much better to include budget. If it is not the maximum budget, maybe range 100,000 to 110,000 or 20,000, for instance. At least just you give hints to those who are interested if it is feasible or not, or just to decide or to define a suitable or relevant scope. When you include maximum budget, it is not necessarily that you will go towards the maximum budget. You still can give small percentage to financial offer when the proposals are evaluated. So 5 to 10%, not more than that. Then you can still focus on the technical proposal aspect. As I said, in consultancies, it's very difficult to define the exact scope. So try to fix one of them, either the technical or the financial, and the financial much easier to fix or to make it clear to all. Include very clear and detailed evaluation criteria of technical proposals. As I said, maybe 5 to 10% when the budget is disclosed. Another choice to have two stage processes. The first one is just to see those who are eligible. They submit their proposals with rates, not financial offer, but just their rates, methodology, qualifications to see if they are eligible or not, if they have the capacity to take these assignments. Then after that, you short list them, and then you can share with them your maximum budget. So it will be less number of organizations, and you can save time, and you can save their time as well, because they don't need to write full proposals, but just a few pages. Another choice, a framework agreement with limited number of consultancies, and this is a trend, in fact, in our industry, in monitoring and evaluation, humanitarian and development. Recently, there are many organizations that they try to sign agreements with limited number of consultancies. Then they will receive limited number of proposals. Could be 3 or 4 or 2, for instance. Ask good companies to share a range of budget, the market level, and this happened with many organizations recently. In fact, even they were at the proposal writing stage, they asked us to estimate budgets for this type of work, and this is really good for them, so they can disclose a maximum budget in these in their tenders. And now we have a poll to be released by Lizzie, please. Lizzie, please.
Dear participants, please take part in the poll. You should see it now on your screens. I'm going to let the poll for a few more seconds. I see that 74% already voted. Thank you everybody for taking part in the poll. I'm going to share the results now.
Thank you very much. As we see, the majority advocates for disclosed budget, which is, as I said, good for both sides. Consultancies, suppliers, applicants, and also commissioners, NGOs, or donors. Now we have, this is all from my side, Lizzie, so open for any questions.
Thank you. I'm going to close the poll. Dear participants, please remember that you can submit your questions in the question box. I'm going to start reading the question. So we have one question asking, is it best to disclose the budget so that we can customize the methodology that works well with the budget?
Lizzie, can you repeat your question, please?
Yes. Is it best to disclose it so that we can customize the methodology that works well with the budget?
Yeah, it is much better to disclose the budget, as I said, because when I know the budget, imagine that if you know how much you have a client, you have a customer, and you work in a hotel or a shop or whatever, and this person would like to buy something. So, in case, and you have, a variety of things to sell, first grade, second, third, fourth, etc. So, if you know how much this person have, then you will know what to show this to this person. The same for consultancies. If you tell me how much money do you have, how much budget do you have, then I will tell you what can I do for you. So if you have low budget, then again, as I said, maybe I decide to submit a proposal or not. If you have really good budget, I will prepare submit a budget. In case you have very high budget, then I will try to find some extra features in my proposals. I will tell you I can do this and this and this and this in addition to what you asked for. So I will add some extra features that you will enjoy as a result of this. Or simply, I will just, submit a proposals with lower budget than your budget in case I am efficient and I would like to compete with others. So I do advocate for disclosed budget, especially if it is consultancy. It is not items similar to laptops, for instance, or food items, etc., where you have where you can inform them about the characteristics, specifications of these things. In consultancies, it is not easy at all. So it is much better if I know the budget, the maximum budget.
Thank you, Yusuf. We have another question saying that I still do not understand why agencies are so strong in their ways about not disclosing the budget. Is this the industry standard?
Okay, I'm happy to answer this one, guys. So there are many reasons. I will focus on the main ones. It's mainly due to policies. So we have INGOs and NGOs having their own policies, and let's say the internal policies mainly discourage the budget disclosure. The reasons are to have more competitive bidding, and to avoid setting some expectations. They want to see everything, they want to compare everything. So yeah, that's the main reason. Internal policies. As well, we have donors policies, a bit different but still the same. They discourage to have the budget included in a tender to ensure fairness and to avoid influencing the bidding process. There's also, let's say, the complexity of the assignment, and here it can make it a bit difficult to provide a precise budget upfront, and the commissioner wants to compare what can different consultancy provide in terms of innovative approach, the complexity of this assignment, and are they able to narrow or to go wider in terms of scope. So even sometimes like the commissioner itself is not aware of what type of budget could be the best fit. There are other factors, of course. It includes mainly transparency, competitiveness, to avoid the budget inflation, as it was mentioned by Yusuf, because if it's too high, we will all jump to have like the highest budget, but we could go very low. So yeah, all those reasons, it's very strategic, but the most important one would be the policies, donor policies, NGO, INGO policies.
Yeah, if I add to what Lena has said, in fact, there is a German organization. I know their country director. We had a discussion, and I recommended him that always, whenever you have consultancies, try to include the maximum budget. I convinced him, and now whenever they have new tenders, they include the maximum budget, which is really great because it's fairer for everyone, easier for them to, as I said, to assess or to evaluate proposals. They will receive less number of proposals, etc., etc. But with another one, there's another international organization. We had some works with them before, and they were very happy with us. And one day, one of their staff contacted me and asked me to submit a proposal. I told him we submitted recently 2 or 3 proposals. We didn't get feedback. We decided not to apply again. And he said, one of the staff, he said, yes, you are right, exactly. Recently, the successful consultancy, they submitted proposals with the exact budget we have in the organization, meaning that there's corruption there. So as you see, I mean, based on our experience also, we don't submit a proposal to these organizations because, again, the only thing we can guess corruption is there. So always when you disclose there are many organizations, we try and still trying, and we will try also to convince them, disclose your budget. And they said it is not possible to disclose. We said not only to Trust Consultancy, included in the tender, so everyone has access to the disclosed budget. And even recently, I think maybe the many organizations, they get back to us, please reduce your budget. We asked them to what extent, can you tell us your maximum budget? They said, no, it is not possible, it is not fair. We said, disclose this budget to all those who were shortlisted, not only to Trust. He said our policy doesn't allow. We asked why. He said headquarter, etc. So they don't have good reason behind this. So we try them. This will be much better for you. Negotiation will be much less. Even maybe you don't need to negotiate with applicants in case you disclose the budget from the very beginning. And even if you are enforced to negotiate, then it will be much easier just to inform tell me the maximum budget, because I already submitted competitive budget, and now you are asking to reduce the budget. I don't know to what extent. Shall I reduce it by 1%, 2%, 3%, etc.? You need to, and also I need to know if I need to make any changes in the scope. In case you have lower budget than this, then I need to maybe to narrow down the scope. So they don't give this information. I don't know why. You see that the logic is just give this information to everyone, then leave it to them to decide to what extent they can leave. So these are, I mean, the reasons usually, and usually we push them to disclose, but unfortunately, in most cases, we are not successful. Hopefully, in the future, we'll be successful.
That's unfortunate. We have actually a follow-up question to the question that you just answered to. But agencies, they do actually always have caps on budgets, correct?
We don't know, because this depends on their policies, procedures, grants, donors, etc. I think this varies.
Thank you, Yusuf. We have another one. Do you recommend cost sharing or not, and why?
What do you mean by cost sharing? Can you clarify what is meant here?
Aya, please, could you write a little bit more details on your questions so we can, if you could clarify what do you mean by cost sharing? Thank you. I'll go to the next question. When you use the two-stage process of a concept note and detailed note, when should the budget be disclosed?
Usually at the second stage, because the first stage just we need to assess technical capacity, if they are qualified or not, if they are eligible or not, if they have relevant experience, etc., etc. Then we need at the first stage just to give us their rates only, because the financial aspect is rate, but we don't need a budget, just their rates, and we can compare between different organizations. And when we have rates, it is easier to compare between different consultancies. And the second stage, we can either disclose the budget, and even if we don't disclose the budget, we know that as a consultancy that the competition will be between 2-3 other companies. So it's much easier, and also it is worth to put some efforts there, because the likelihood to win could be 30%, could be 40%, depends on the number of the consultancies.
Thank you, Yusuf. Aya actually explained what she wants to know. So back to the question, do you recommend cost sharing or not? She says that she means contribution on the total amount of a budget between the donor and the receiver.
In fact, the budget will come from the donor or from the commissioner, could be international NGOs, etc. So the whole budget will come from the other side. And the question is not that clear to me how to share cost with donors or with international.
Perhaps.
But yes, Dersi?
I would say I think Aya, you can confirm, but in this case you would either have to be dealing with social enterprise, but not necessarily a consultancy firm fully 100% fully in profit. But yeah, I think she's the best person to confirm. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is related to communities who are receiving this, and this is not related to commercial proposals. If it is related to grant proposal, it's different. Then maybe they can ask the community to contribute, sometimes effort, sometimes time, sometimes some assets, etc., but not related to the commercial proposals.
Thank you. Is it possible that further to examining the concept note submitted, a budget could be revised to take into account points raised in the concept notes that were not foreseen by the consultancies? Would you like me to repeat?
Again, I think maybe they talk here about grants proposals, not about commercial proposals, which is not relevant.
We have another question that if you could give us some examples of organizations that actually disclose budgets and their tenders.
Yeah, we do have a few. JZ, for example, we have seen them disclosing the budgets in the tenders. We also have Expertise Friends. We also have Disasters Emergency Committee, DEC. And I would say not only they disclose in the tender sometimes, but when you reach out to them and you perhaps include that as part of the questions, they normally provide general answers to the suppliers or to the companies who are applying. So not they only guarantee that you have the answer as an individual consultancy firm, but that everyone is informed. So I would say give it a try if you are an individual consultancy as well, just to, if it's not in the tender, just ensure that it's part of the questions to ask to the client.
Yes, I would like to say maybe GIZ, one of those, usually they include maximum budget, which is really great. And in addition to this, also, they have so far the best technical or tenders in terms of how they evaluate tenders. So they have really, it's very detailed. Sometimes they have these, different criteria, and for each, sometimes they have 1 point or 2 points. So very specific and really great. In addition, DRC, I remember also they have very clear also evaluation criteria when they publish consultancies, Danish Refugee Council, and there are some. Budget not disclosed, and the technical is not that clear how it will be evaluated, and here it is a headache. It's really a headache because here we cannot guess what we need to include here. We don't know how our proposal will be evaluated, which areas we need to focus more, etc. So quality of TURs, quality of tenders also does matter. And as I said, I mentioned here just a few examples, but the majority usually no disclosed budget, no clear scope, no clear technical also how they will evaluate the technical proposal. And here it is a headache, in fact.
We have a question from mi amico related to budget disclosing. Have you ever faced government agencies failing to disclose their budgets in the tendering process?
In our experience, we didn't have with government. We didn't have experience with the government, unfortunately. So we cannot answer this question.
Thank you. We actually have a comment from Muhammad. He says that he's working with both a donor and a third-party monitor, and one party suggests that it is better not to disclose the budget as the scope and methodologies are well written in the TOR. Do you have any comments on that?
It's extremely difficult to define the exact scope in consultancies, as I said. When you have items, consumable, for instance, food items, medical items, etc., because you have a specification, you have characteristics, you can mention all these things. So it is clear to them, and then they will compete using the price, for instance. But for consultancies, we already mentioned here some examples from training, from third-party monitoring, and any other consultancies. There are many, many alternatives, many choices for us to decide. So there are very specific situations where the scope is defined. Let's talk about third-party monitoring. If they tell us how many surveys they need exactly, how many focus group discussions exactly, how many key informant exactly, if it is face-to-face or if it is remote, if they cover, for instance, logistics, international travel, for instance, or if they mention all these things, yes, it will be. So the more when the scope is specific, it is much easier for us. But again, still, we have different choices. You have the scope, but shall I have international consultants or local consultants? Which one do you prefer? Training, shall I have two trainers or one trainer? Because from the point of view, it will be better to have two trainers. So one facilitate, one observe, one have break, etc. It will be much better. Well, are you going to cover this or not? So even if you cannot mention all these details in the TOR, so you cannot have very specific if it comes, for instance, to data collection, shall I have, for instance, enumerators from the same area where I save logistics, accommodation, transportation, per diem, or shall I bring people from other places? Because if they are from other places, maybe it is more neutral and transparent because they don't have connection and relations in the community. But this will implies that I have higher cost. You see, even if you have really very specific, I mean, it is difficult to have very specific scope, but always there are sometimes it is much better defined by these organizations compared to the other organizations. But still, if you define the scope, will be the budget will be much better, generally speaking.
Thank you for answering all the questions. We are running out of time, so I'm going to take one last question before we conclude. So almost all the tenders require including a financial offer. What is your insights about that? Because consultancy companies do not have a choice but to actually present a financial offer.
Yes, of course, because organizations are buyers. They would like to buy my service, and they need to know how much they should pay. Always it is a must to include financial offers, unless it is voluntary work, and if you would like to volunteer, then no cost, no budget from your side, only just for volunteers for voluntary work. I mean, it is open for anyone who would like to work without payment, without fees, etc. You are happy, but usually consultancies, they need to pay, and they need to know how much they need to pay. Can they afford it? And there are many times, maybe there are some organizations also, they try to be very competitive to secure some assignments, and then organizations, they said, no, this cost is too low. We don't this will not guarantee good quality, high quality, and then they execute it because they are low. You see, this is another aspect when the budget is not disclosed. So it's much better disclose the budget, save your time as a commissioner, save time of consultants, enjoy more time and higher quality, and also reduce corruption or potential corruption, and also trust, transparency, etc. will be enhanced. And trust consultancy in the future, we might try to conduct a study about this, to disclose or not to disclose from the point of view of companies and consultancies and NGOs as well, where we conduct interviews with procurement department, technical department, consultancies, for instance. Then we can see donor side as well. As I said, because I mean, we have much more advantages compared to disadvantages when these budgets are disclosed for all sides, but not for those who are corrupt, because they have interest to be not to disclose if they are corrupt.
Thank you, Yusuf, for such a detailed answer. I want to extend my gratitude to Yusuf, Lina, and Dirse for sharing their expertise with us today, for joining us. I'm pretty sure that your insights have truly enriched our understanding of budget management and tender submissions within the development and humanitarian sectors. Dear participants, if you have any questions left, or would you like to connect, or you would like to connect further, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email, or contact Yusuf, Dirse, and Lina on their LinkedIn profile, or request their emails, and we will make sure that everybody connects. Thank you for attending this event, and I wish you all a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you very much, Elise, for your great effort, and also DevelopmentAid for this great opportunity to talk to this audience. Thank you very much also, Dirce and Lina, and our audience. Thank you very much for your questions. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you.